There's a new power struggle in Africa. The demand for electricity here exceeds supply.
Hello.
I'm in Kenya to find out how darkness limits life and how the solutions are unleashing light across a swathe of Africa. Can superheated water from under the Rift Valley deliver power to the people?
That is so much more than just a deafening roar. It's an elemental power that makes the ground tremble and shakes your chest.
And could a revolutionary solar lamp banish the gloom from millions of homes?
We need something that can put power online as fast as possible.
Nearly half of them have got solar lights in their homes, and it's really changing the way they can work.
Will energy from the sky above and the rocks below electrify Africa in the 21st century? By Kini in central Kenya. Like countless other towns and villages across the developing world, this place has ambitions which outstrip its energy supply. Sylvester Muthuma is the village hairdresser. The manual clippers give him cramp. It's slow, unpopular and occasionally painful for his customers. But without the vital spark of electricity, it's all there is.
Welcome.
Thank you. What can you do for me?
I want to save you.
Yeah. Not too much.
Not too much. There is another business in my mind, a vision, whereby on getting electricity, I may start welding.
Welding?
Welding.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're a businessman with ideas, but you can't get on. How does that make you feel?
In fact, without electricity, I'm very much bored. For I have the ability, but I have the power.
Very neat, but not quite sure about the choir boy look.
Sylvester works alongside fellow entrepreneurs. His aunt is a seamstress. Like her nephew, she would love to expand her business, but without electricity, she's left with only the power of hand and foot. There are Sylvesters all across this region, people whose aspirations could be creating wealth and jobs, but the lack of an affordable, reliable source of electricity holds them back. Being powerless affects industries both old and new. This online magazine couldn't exist without electricity, but the source is strictly a DIY job.
This is where I work sometimes from. And that's one of the 3 solar panels that I use. And I've been using it for quite some years, 2, 3. And it serves me well.
As good as it?
Yes, it powers everything, my laptop, my phones.
The editor, Peter Njenga, is another frustrated businessman. He uses a solar panel on the roof of his office to power his business, as the grid is so unreliable. A recent surge destroyed his computer. The unstable supply is killing his kit and choking his ambition.
It's very important because we are at a time when we are exploding in usage of broadband technologies. Then soon people like me and many other young entrepreneurs are doing their businesses online. I compare it with a student who doesn't have a book or a pen, because electricity is what drives all our equipment, right from the phones, the internet connections we have, and the computers that we use.
Kenya's economy is growing, but with nearly 3/4 of the population off the grid, you realise that development happens despite the electricity supply, not because of it. Reliable energy could accelerate growth. This is not a story without solutions, though. There are answers to the power problem, and some of them are closer than you think. The Great Rift Valley. a 4,000-mile-long split in the Earth's surface that stretches through East Africa.
This crater was once the scene of regular volcanic eruptions, at least the size of Krakatoa, shooting rocks like this high into the air. The whole place would have been a hot blizzard of ash and caustic roiling gases. And now that very same power is on the brink of being harnessed to electrify Africa.
The land around the valley feels primeval, the proximity of the underworld earning this area the name Hell's Gate. The local Maasai believed spirits dwelt here too.
The earth is still young here. As the Rift Valley widens, cracks open up and the heat from beneath escapes to the surface. You can really smell the sulphur here, and the rocks toasty.
To harness that heat for electricity, you must find pools of superheated water in deep, highly pressurised reservoirs way below the surface. Daniel Adongo, the head engineer for the power company KenGen, is leading the search at the Olkaria geothermal plant 75 miles outside the Kenyan capital, Nairobi.
We started drilling about 1 hour ago. Maybe there was a stop.
Drilling each well takes around 2 months and demands all this hardware. Across Kenya, the ambitions for geothermal as a whole are massive.
We need something that can put power online as fast as possible. And geothermal is doing that for us. Everyone now in Kenya is trying to find out what's going on in the power sector. And we are having people coming from all over Kenya and all over the world to see what we're actually doing in geothermal.
And it is a huge scale what you're doing here, isn't it?
Yes, it is, because it's a single biggest investment at one go in Kenya. It's going to cost about $1.3 billion US. And it's generated a lot of excitement all over.
The drill is boring down about 2 miles into the earth, and there are 8 of these rigs operating throughout Kenya, because overall they want to drill over 100 wells.
The subterranean pressure cooker brings water to the surface at temperatures above 200 degrees centigrade, well worth keeping a distance when they let off steam.
That is so much more than just a deafening roar. It's an elemental power that makes the ground tremble and shakes your chest. It truly is a force of nature.
But taming that force is messy. It requires roads, pipelines and big earth-moving equipment, scarring the Hell's Gate National Park, home of the Olkaria plant. Kenya's world-famous wildlife must coexist with the infrastructure of big electricity.
Leopard, apparently. I wonder what she made of it.
This is the first privately funded geothermal project in the whole of Africa, and the developers have committed themselves to restoring the landscape. They've created this nursery to answer their critics who say they're just not serious about minimising the environmental impact from the plant.
We are by law required to revegetate or rehabilitate the land after. So even where we are, what we are looking at now was at one time like with scars and all over, but we have actually rehabilitated it and taken it back to what it is. So basically we have minimum impact on the environment.
Environmental concerns may well grow as the power station at the site expands to feed on the increasing number of wells being drilled here. Within 5 years, this geothermal field alone is scheduled to produce more electricity than is currently consumed by all of Kenya.
What am I looking at here, Eddie?
Well, we are standing in front of a typical geothermal well. This is...
For the CEO of the company, geothermal energy is vital for Kenya's long-term economic growth.
This well was drilled in 1990. Power is the engine for development, actually, and we're really looking at geothermal, for instance, being really the driver for that expansion that we need to have enough power in this country to drive the economy and therefore achieve our vision.
So in 10 years' time or so, what will the energy generation of Kenya, what will the picture look like?
The picture will look very green. In 10 years' time, we reckon about 70% of our power supply will come from green sources.
That's a figure that most Western countries would really envy.
Yes, but we do have the natural resources. We have wind, we have solar, we have geothermal. So unlike Europe, obviously we do have more natural resources in that direction.
By any comparison, that is a world-beating figure. But despite the abundance of green resources here and the country's experience in producing geothermal, there's still a huge financial mountain to climb.
We reckon that we need over $10 billion between now and about 2020. But we believe that these are viable projects. These are projects that we can be able to get partners to develop with ourselves.
Generating electricity is just one part of the energy problem in the developing world. Delivering power to the people is just as much of a challenge. Seven out of 10 Africans do not have access to mains electricity. Right across this region of East Africa, much of life is lived in the dark. Chemora village in the Kenyan highlands. Like all countries near the equator, the nights are long. 12 hours of daylight, followed by 12 hours of darkness.
Hello. So we're going. And Lena is in here?
Yeah.
Wow. I've come here to meet Lena, a farmer and mother of two. While she cooks the dinner, her boys do their homework. Their light comes from paraffin lamps.
How much does it cost you?
It's about 100 shillings in a week.
100 shillings in a week?
Yes.
That's $5 a month for a family with barely any money. Living by a naked flame could easily be romanticised, but on top of the punishing cost, it's also heavily polluting. An evening's lighting by paraffin creates equivalent toxins to the smoke from 40 cigarettes.
Thank you, Lena. Have a good dinner. We've had to add a little light to make this interview remotely visible. This is how Lena really works.
Lighting up the lives of millions of people across the developing world in a safe, affordable way is a big challenge. But one of the solutions is an emblem of Africa. In fact, it's staring us in the face. The Kenyan highlands, like much of rural Africa, are witnessing a quiet revolution in solar power. Focused less on big, expensive solar panels and power stations, and more on simple solutions suited to the reality of life in the developing world. This is the Solar Roller, a vehicle taking the message of usable, affordable solar out to the people. Victor Koyer is from the company Sunny Money. They're selling these small, robust and crucially cheap solar lights across East Africa.
A lot of people using kerosene and other source of light, which are very expensive and which are very harmful. So having this light, which is very, very cheap, and it's plug and play, you don't need to call a local fundi to come and install it.
Why do you think it is that solar is really a success now?
5 years ago, the lights are being sold, for example, a light like this was being sold £20, but now we are selling it close to £7. November 2012, we did a record of 20,000 lights within 1 month. That's 4 weeks.
And a couple of years before that?
A couple of years ago, within 1 year, we used to sell considerable 7,000 lights.
Right.
Portable solar power is at a tipping point. In 2 years, the cost of LED lights, the solar panels and batteries have tumbled. The $8 price tag, about the same as a hen, is turning the dream of harnessing sunshine from wishful thinking into a reality. Today, the Sunny Money crew is pitching to teachers and village elders. If they can sell the concept to them, they'll open up a wider market of parents and pupils, hundreds of other potential customers.
So we just place it outside the sun for about 4 to 6 hours, depending on the intensity of the sun, and then it will be fully charged.
The audience listens attentively enough, but it's the demo that really impresses.
Yeah. Tap on it. But still, it's still working, isn't it?
Illuminating, cheap and tough, it's a winning combination.
It was interesting, after all the talk, what really impressed people here was seeing how strong it was, actually testing it on the real ground. I guess a lot of products they found don't withstand the realities of African family life.
With the lights impressing, sales are brisk. Most of the buyers are teachers shopping for themselves and the parents of their pupils.
Break time's over and the kids are having to go back to the classroom. Of the 600 students here, nearly half of them have got solar lights in their homes, and it's really changing the way they can work.
Stanley Ragout is one of the satisfied customers. He's the head teacher of Kembu Primary School.
Around half of your pupils here now have solar lights at their homes. Why has it been so successful?
The marks now are increasing. Yeah, because they have this evening or perhaps they can do their preparation at home at night.
Really, you can put it down to the solar lights. Your results have improved.
Yeah, it has improved.
And you think it's down to lots of people having light at home?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because I can see after buying this one, the children are now coming up with good marks. So they can change their life.
One pupil benefiting from solar light is someone not too keen on the limelight. In recent exams, Enoch here came first in his school and 55th in the whole of Kenya. He's a modest character, though, who puts up with rather than encourages the celebrations of his classmates.
Switch it on, please.
At home, Enoch demonstrates for me the lamp which transformed his life.
Enoch, you just got your exam results. I read in the newspaper that you were the 55th best student in the whole of Kenya.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does that feel?
I feel very proud.
News and sport over here. Mr. President Obama. Wayne Rooney, I can see there. Might have to mark you down for that one.
He's a typical teenager in many ways, but the new light in his life means Enoch can satisfy his appetite for study too.
Before there was this daylight, I used to read up to 7 only, but when it was brought, I read up to 10.
Up to 10, so 3 more hours of reading every night.
Yep.
You have got very good results.
Yeah.
What do you want to do in your future? What is your hope?
To be a doctor.
A doctor?
Yeah.
Enoch's success isn't all down to the solar light, of course, but without it, there's no doubt his considerable talents would have been stifled. The power problem in this region is holding back people in all sorts of ways. Economic growth here is between 4 and 5% a year, a figure many countries can only dream of. But without a reliable supply of more affordable power that reaches more people, it's a potential that's only partly being realised. This is the main street in Nakuru, Kenya's 4th largest city. When the sun sets and darkness falls, streets become shadowy canyons. Few businesses here can afford power, and many that do have electricity complain of power cuts as the hydroelectric source is vulnerable to drought. Electricity doesn't just enhance education and economic growth, though. For many across the developing world, the lack of power is just plain dangerous. Even by day, the Kibera slum in the Kenyan capital Nairobi isn't the safest part of town, but by night, darkness fosters crime. George Akonji is well known in the community here, but a few years ago, as he was returning home in the inky gloom of a Kibera night, he was attacked by a gang.
I met a group of young men. It was dark, so they pounced on me, they attacked me. So I tried to struggle, but there were so many, I could not get the real numbers. So they engaged me, I tried to fight my way out.
Were they armed?
They were armed.
With what?
They had pangas.
Pangas?
Pangas.
Is that a machete?
A machete, yeah, they had a machete. So as I was trying to struggle with them, so I decided, when they overwhelmed me, then I said, "Oh, please don't harm me, please don't do this to me." So one of them just took a machete and cut me.
He cut you across there? That's the scar that you've got?
George believes the darkness was just as crucial a weapon for the gang as the machete that tore his face. And the resulting scars are more than physical.
You had a scar for life because of this attack?
Yeah, it's true. It's a permanent scar for life. Yeah. Actually, before, it has taken me time to adjust because some people suspect you because they believe those with scars must be bad people. So sometimes it's going to take me a hard time to convince people why I have this scar. So it has really changed my life.
Really?
Because the way others may perceive you as maybe as a wrong person.
So not just the fear at the time and the loss of the property, but a permanent effect on your life.
Effect on my life.
Yeah.
The scene of the assault now has a single, very high street light. But as there is just one light, the gangs can easily target it, cutting the wires, and with it, the only light in the neighbourhood. Danger in the night persists.
So the darkness still prevails, and when it prevails, it is to the advantages of these bad boys. So I think much more needs to be done. We need to have more of these lights.
If geothermal is to bring light to places like Kibera, it'll need huge amounts of money, up to $15 billion across Kenya alone. The big question hanging over Africa's energy ambitions is, can that money be found? Some of the people looking for it are here at the African Development Bank in Nairobi. Gabriel Nagatu, the bank's regional director, is sounding hopeful.
What's happening, what we're beginning to see is now a great deal of appetite from the private sector to come in because the energy appetite in this region is growing. So we're making sure that government puts in place appropriate rules, regulations, and enabling environment that will allow the private sector to come in.
If the full potential is realised, how could it change this place?
Energy is a game changer because there is a realization in this region and across the continent that this is the enabler that the continent needs. What is today wasteland could be a major economic zone, exporting, domestic consumption. You know, it would be a robust economy with factories, with universities, with full economic activities, and all of it will be powered by geothermal and renewable energy. And as they say, what was once referred to as the dark continent will henceforth be known as the brightest continent, and then that will be reason for all of us to celebrate.
Whether it's the barber looking to grow his business or the schoolboy wanting a light to study by, the entrepreneur trying to expand, or people wanting freedom from fear of the dark, I've seen how the appetite for more electricity in East Africa is insatiable. Solar is helping feed that demand with a technological revolution leapfrogging the traditional grid supply for an increasing number of people. But really big economic steps are even more power-hungry. Europe and America needed coal to power their industrial revolutions. Africa has the opportunity to bypass that fossil fuel route, stepping straight from low energy to green energy without the dirty middle. They're not there yet, but they appear to be in sight of a prize that much of the world would envy.